a depressed woman of stunning beauty threw herself into the ocean. She didn't die, and the tides took her to the sacred island of Motutapu. Its people accepted the woman, though her dark mood remained. The god of fish resided on Motutapu. He was taken by the woman's beauty and asked her to be his wife. She agreed, which infuriated the god's other wives. They attacked the new bride to reduce her beauty, but the woman defended herself with supernatural abilities, killed her attackers, and became the god's only wife. The woman was the Pacific's goddess of the moon, Hina, and this is Legends from the Pacific. Aloha, and thank you for joining us. This is Legends from the Pacific, episode 31, The Pacific's Goddess of the Moon, Hina. I am Kamuela Kaneshiro, a professional writer, speaker, and Comic-Con panelist with extensive film and television experience. I study mythology, I've encountered unusual things, and I'm a geek. Did you know we have a fan art section? Swing on by legendsfromthepacific.com and send your art today. Later in this episode, your featured song, Hawaiian Word, Moana, and David Lee Roth. But first, buckle up, because there's a lot to unpack with Hina. The goddess Hina is one of the few beings shared throughout the Pacific nations. Though her stories are slightly altered, just take a moment to consider this. She transcended languages, cultures, and distance during a time when a written language did not exist. Hina was skilled in ancient ways and known for making the softest and most desired kapa or tapa cloths. The name Hina was also treated like a title and added to the names of things or powerful women. For example, Polynesians named the moon Mahina, and stories consider the moon goddess can be either Hina or Mahina. Also, Madame Pele's Hina name is Hina Ke Ahi, which means the Hina or powerful woman of fire. While many Pacific culture names are unisex, Hina is considered feminine. But there are rare stories where Hina was a man similar to the demigod Maui. Speaking of Maui, stories claim Hina was either Maui's mother, wife, or older sister who trained him. Hina is also known as the shortened Ina or Sina with an S, which is why some cultures refer to the moon as Ma-Sina instead of the earlier stated Ma-Hina. Historians also suggested a connection with the Assyrian moon goddess Sin. There are many stories of Hina's association with the moon, including one where the moon swept her up. Our opening story mentioned the Maori's two Hinas. The fair Hina was Hina Tea, and the dark Hina was Hina Uri. These are also the Maori names for a full or new moon. In this story, Hina was Maui's older sister, and she darkened because Maui turned her husband into the first dog after he bested Maui in fishing. And you thought the Greek gods had drama. Because Hina appeared in many stories of beings we haven't discussed yet, expect to hear her in future stories. Also, the downside of having so much about Hina is the difficulty in figuring out if stories were referring to Hina the moon goddess or another Hina. This is where it would be awesome to have a research assistant. Still to come, your featured song, Hawaiian Word, Moana and David Lee Roth. But now, a story. The following is a Legends from the Pacific original story and is based on cultural testimony. Hina was skilled in ancient ways and made the finest kapa cloths. But her troublesome children and belittling husband made her yearn for a peaceful place to make her cloth. She found a rainbow path to the heavens and felt the sun would be a good place because it would dry her kapa faster. Hina woke early the following day, packed her sacred items, and tried to catch the sun as it rose. She raced on the heavenly path, but the sun was too hot, and the worn-out Hina returned to her village to rest. Hina woke, gazing at the full moon. She decided to journey to the moon and started back on the heavenly path. But her husband saw her and demanded she come back. Hina refused, and her husband pursued her on the path. Hina was tired and struggled keeping her lead. Her husband lunged for her and grabbed her foot. Hina's husband laughed as they descended from the moon. Her eyes watered as she was mocked by her husband, who compared her to a crawling worm. Hina glanced down at her husband latched to her foot, and she kicked her foot off. Her husband fell to the village with her foot. The tired and injured Hina lumbered for the moon, but she was too weak to make it. She cried, and with her remaining strength, chanted her strongest incantation for help. The mysterious hands of night and darkness formed to assist the wounded goddess to the moon's threshold. The bleary-eyed Hina could almost touch her goal, but she was drained. She swayed, keeping her balance with nothing to help her, looked at her foot, and considered crawling. Hina snarled, "A goddess doesn't crawl." Fueled by her anger, she limped into her new dwelling. On clear nights, Hawaiians gaze at the full moon and see Hina with her sacred belongings joyfully making kapa cloths for the gods. Coming up, your featured song, Hawaiian Word, Moana, and David Lee Roth. You can support us by encouraging 2 or 3 of your friends to listen to our show. Halloween is around the corner, and I'm sure they'll appreciate your recommending our show. There's a Hawaiian chant where Hina tells her descendant how to access the path she took to the moon. Some tales claim thunder and lightning are from Hina making her cloth, but I feel this might run against the established thunder and lightning gods. The story Hina of Hilo claimed Hina resided near the Big Island's Hilo Waterfall, Rainbow Falls, or Waianui Nui. Not far away in Pohakuloa is a rock believed to have been used by Hina to make her kapa cloth. A similar rock is found on the island of Maui and is near where Queen Ka'ahumanu, who we covered previously, spent her childhood. Today, these Hawaiian places are still visited. The song Hina was released by rock star David Lee Roth in 1988, and people were disappointed Hina was omitted from Disney's Moana, even though Moana's mother's name was Sina. Personally, I feel it would have been interesting seeing Hina treating Maui like a younger brother. If you like what you heard, Please give us a rating, write a review, and share Legends from the Pacific with your friends and family. I'd really appreciate it. Our theme song is Mystery by Tavana, courtesy of High Sessions. Sound effects are by Sound Effects Factory. Our music coordinator is Matt Duffy, aka DJ TripleBypass. Links and show notes can be found on our website, legendsfromthepacific.com, including a link to your featured song, which is La Kahakai by Mailani, featuring Dr. Trey, courtesy of High Sessions. Legends from the Pacific was written, produced, and edited by me, Kamuela Kaneshiro. I also wrote our original stories. Your featured Hawaiian word is mahina. Along with mahina meaning moon, mahina also means month. An example of mahina meaning month is there are 12 mahinas in a year. Thank you once again for listening. Mahalo and ahui ho. Papaloa